Joining me now in the studio is Gemma McCaw. Kia ora, Gemma. So, of course, you're a former Black Sticks hockey player, Olympian, and a very busy mum. But can you give me a little bit of a life update about what you're busy with at the moment?
Yeah, morena, Sam. So nice to be here and see you. Well, life with 3 kids is busy.
Yeah.
We've made, some big life changes, I think. We moved to the beautiful Wānaka from Christchurch.
It's so nice down there.
It is beautiful. Oh. Yeah, we've been really lucky. We wanted to raise the kids in the outdoors, and it was a place, for Rich to come home to Central Otago. So that's been a really big life change and adjustment, but our kids are doing really well. So we've got that, and that means just work and life, is different at the moment, and that's okay. It's just been a really great opportunity for a new chapter to begin. Yeah. And, I'm still doing some speaking, engagements when I can, and also doing my Ladies Who Venture, which is taking women into the outdoors, so igniting the passion for the outdoors and connection of women coming together from all walks of life.
So lots of different chapters going on in your life, and as you say, a new chapter with the move to Wānaka. So we're actually here today to talk about something that we've discovered is a really shared passion that we both have, and that is books and reading. And you kind of managed to intertwine this with the other things that you do. You told me you took your book club up a mountain, and then you carried a bag full of books, so that actual books, so you could read it when you get to the top?
Yeah, so we had a book club, and it was based off my auntie's book club that's been going for 25 years, my mum's sister, and they had a set of rules that you follow. And so you have your members, and you meet once a month, and each member hosts 1 month of the year. So you've got 10 to 12 members. So my hosting came up, and I remember going to one of these book clubs with, beautiful food, and, I was sitting there thinking, what other experience could I bring, to the book club? So I booked Snow Farm Hut the first year and said to the girls,
beautiful.
We are going to walk into Snow Farm, I'm hosting, and so I'll bring all the books, and gave them a gear list. And so we walked in, and we sat there as the sun set, and talked about books and really shared around life and what we were all going through, because naturally when you're away from the hustle and bustle of life, and your heart's more open, and your mind, and you sit and you really listen, and you're away from the distractions that we all have, and we're all juggling multiple demands. And so we sat up there, and that was the first year, and some of these women absolutely loved it. They thought we were a little bit mad hiking in.
What was the book? Because I'm imagining you with a backpack full of, tell me they weren't hardcovers.
No, but Boy Swallows Universe was in there. Trent Dalton, I just remember, because I got a beautiful
Trent Dalton.
So that was in there, and then the next year I stepped it up a notch and booked Liverpool Hut. So that's in Mount Aspiring, so we then had to mountain bike the 10Ks, leave the bikes there, and climb up to Liverpool Hut. And again, we just had the hut to ourselves, which was incredible, dock huts that you can book online. And again, getting away and having that to climb up that hill and sit there and share stories. And we went around and what we'd been reading as well. And that's kind of, it's not one book that everyone reads. The style, it's kind of, you introduce 2 new books if you're hosting. So yeah, I'd hiked up with all these heavy books, which was great training for me, and then the food.
Only you would say that, Gemma. The rest of us would be thinking, oh my gosh, it's too heavy.
So that was kind of combining my love for books, women connecting, and that kind of deeper connection, and just getting away. It's really hard, we're all busy with families and work, but putting something in your calendar that you really look forward to. I believe we all need something, whether it's that girls' weekend or that thing, but it gives you hope, and on those days you've got that little, and then you get all the memories, afterwards.
Yes, you're creating memories. You're not just catching up with friends, you're creating something new to think about.
And some of the best moments in my life have been some of these outdoor experiences with people close to me, my family and Rich and these women, and also women that I don't know, coming together for our Ladies Who Venture. It's just been such a beautiful collaboration between the love of outdoors and women needing that connection through all stages of our life.
So it's about connection, and is that what you find with books as well? So I think, for me and also for you, when I post something on social media about a book I've read, I just get you know, like a flurry of comments and engagement and people wanting to recommend books that they've read, and it's people from all walks of life. And is that what you're finding as well, and why you're really interested in that book world now?
Yeah, I think as a little girl I saw Mum read Jodi Picoult. I don't know, that's just
yeah, I've got a few of those on the shelf. Yeah, they're good.
And then obviously I had children, and on tour, you know, I remember The Bronze Horseman was our book when I first made the Black Sticks in 2008. That was your initiation book, which I think was so
had
great.
To read that.
We had to read that, which was quite cool. When I look back, you know, there's all sorts of different initiations now which have changed, but I remember reading that and then going away on tour, and there were basically, you know, two choices. You could binge watch, you know, a series. Some were reading, and obviously we were all doing university at the same time, so it was a bit of...
Sure, okay.
And we were training twice a day, so it's not like we were sitting in a hotel, but in that downtime where you actually have to rest between 2.5 sessions a day in the middle of China in 40 degrees, 80% humidity.
Oh my gosh.
And it wasn't, and I loved reading, but I felt all through, I studied, you know, for 7 or 8 years at university while I was playing hockey. I felt I was reading, and a lot of people say this to me, you know, I'm read for work. And so and you must be the same.
I'm reading all day, and of course it's you know, the real world and what's happening, and so it's all coming at me from multiple different directions. And then when I go home, for me, reading is about unwinding, and it's about escapism. And I read myself to sleep. It literally helps me. It's one of the most effective ways that I can unwind and kind of let the day fall away and relax. You know, but I also think that you can find out so much about the real world through fiction.
Yeah, exactly. And I think that's what I've loved. It's a game changer. You have young children.
How do you find the time?
Yeah, and this is what I get a lot of, you know, I share online, and then people say, I just want to know how you have time with 3 kids and a busy life. And I always say, you make time for what is important to you, and you have to make a choice. And it gets to the end of the day, you've got the 3 kids down, you do the clean up. You know, I just get a broom and sweep all the toys into a pile.
That's a good tip.
And then that's great. And then
to get the broom.
I have a choice. And one thing I'll say is when you're tired, that is when you need the dopamine and you'll want to scroll. Because it's easy, it's escapism, you don't have to think. So you get all cleaned up, and if you've done your other life admin and it's already 8 o'clock, or, you know, we have our kids down, try and get them down by 7, you know, 7:30, and then, you know, if I'm doing it while Rich is away on my own, I get them all down, I do the clean up, and I sit down and
you go, I'll just check Instagram.
Just check, and I can do an hour of, as we all can, doom scrolling.
Yeah.
But what I find is, you know, if I made the choice to pick up, and that's why I bought a Kindle, I was breastfeeding, and I remember thinking, if you've got your phone, you're feeding your baby, what's the point, you know? And I wanted to be, you know, obviously engaged and when I was feeding, and then, you know, I thought actually I could start reading books. You know, which is...
and you've got the Kindle, yes, because you don't have
so
to be holding a book.
And so I had my Kindle, and, you know, sometimes I would feed, but when you're feeding 3 hourly, you know, it's so having the Kindle, I'd just tap on the page, and I started reading probably, you know, and people say, how do you read so much? But if you read like anything, half an hour, you know, a day, you can read a book in almost a week, you know, and some of those fiction books, you just have to make it a habit and a priority. And don't get me wrong, there are times when I opt for the scrolling, you know, because I'm absolutely exhausted. And we all do.
And it's fun.
And it's fun. But yeah, I've just made it a habit. And I guess it's that feeling of you accomplish something when you finish a book. It's that feeling of empathy. I look at these, especially the female characters, you know, what they go through and what they've done. And it feels really inspiring for me. I get quite a lot of my inspiration and thought from some of these books. So I think you have to make the time and make it a habit, like anything, like exercise. People say, how do you do it? You build it into your life in a way that works for you. You don't look at people, and I think people get a bit, you know, like, oh, how do you, you know, but actually you have to make a choice. And I know if I scroll for an hour, my sleep quality, you know, because of that blue light emission, it's one of the worst things we can do. We're thinking of all these images, and whereas you lose yourself in a book, you know, and you feel your eyes doing and then, you know, you settle into a beautiful sleep.
Or it's a really good book and you can't stop and you find yourself still reading at 2 a.m, which happens to me sometimes, but what do you think about children and books? Because, you know, I've got 2 young children, 3 and 5, and I have just from the very beginning of their lives wanted to create little readers, because I think it's a window to, so many different worlds, and if you can have that passion for reading, it sets you up for life. But of course, kids these days a lot of the time are on devices.
Yeah, I feel really strongly about this. I think there's no greater joy than reading to a baby or a child.
Yeah, and they love it.
And they love it. It's engaging. It'll
snuggled
connection.
in.
It's, you know, and you see them evolve, you know, from even babies, you know, in utero, talking, you know, when their baby's reading to them, hearing your voice, you know, it's soothing, it's rhythmic, it's repetitive, it's great for brain development, unlike screens. And what I would say is, you know, I met a lady when I was playing hockey just before the Olympics, and we're in the changing room. And so we're getting changed, and she said, "Oh, you're that Gemma, aren't you?" And I said, "Yes." And she said, "You're with Richie?" And I said, "Yes, yes." And she said, "My husband's 10 years older than me, and age is just a number." So she started off on this, which is quite funny. And and then anyway, she was saying, you know, we live our lives as, you know, each day, you know, we don't count the days, we make each day count. And we got in this most beautiful conversation. And anyway, I had Charlotte in 2018, and a package arrived at the door with, you know, and it had a penny on the back, this just address, so I opened it up, and it was the book Clap Your Hands. It was the lady, and she'd written
From the changing room?
From the changing room, and she said, "Hi Gemma, I met you in the changing room at Millennium all those years ago. There is no greater joy than reading to a baby, and I hope you have many moments with your baby." And she had, and you know, yeah, thinking about that now, and we actually became pen pals, which, you know, people, you know, and I sent her back books, and she would, you know, send books, and just the beautiful way, you know, thinking about, and that one comment saying there is no greater joy, and I thought, oh my goodness, and every time I sit down with my kids, and I think if you read your kids 5 books, you know, a day, by the time they start school, they've heard a million different sounds, unless, you know, sometimes they read the same one again.
Oh yeah, we get trapped in that. Yes, yep, the ones they love.
I feel really sad. I think every baby should go home with a book. I feel really sad we're not reading. We're putting on the iPad to tell a story. I mean, my 6-year-old loves a naughty story from when, you know, I make some up or say this is a real one.
Oh yes, my son started
brothers.
asking me to tell him stories. Yeah.
You know, we've got all these devices that you can outsource, but that true connection and that reading and the sounds and that bonding time, and a big predictor of success in life is children that have been read to, and it's not too late to start. So if you're sitting there thinking, but you know, I heard a story recently. I was talking to a doctor, and he had a 3-year-old in there, and he had a pile of books and a dump truck and all the toys waiting, and the little boy was swiping at the book.
Like it was an iPad?
Like it was an iPad,
yeah,
and he just said, because, you know, we were talking about books, and, you know, it just broke my heart a little bit, because I thought, actually, it's not that kid's fault that he hasn't been read to, and, you know, we can never judge anyone else's situation, I think, but, you know, we really have to do something about it. If each of us, with our own children, we start at home, and just start with one book, because people say, how do you read, you know, 5 books? But we just, again, you make it a habit, you know, before bed, and we don't do TV, you know, we don't watch TV, we have cartoons in the weekend. I've made quite a stand on that, because I just believe, you know, that instant gratification, like us,
yeah, it's
you know,
not,
and they want more and more and more, and then obviously now cell phones and social media, my kids aren't at that age, but I just think we really have to be present physically and present emotionally for our children in those early years to set them up. And books are a great joy, and I think it's not instant. You know, you have to figure out what happens in the story, and you have to hang in there. And I think, you know, that goes a long way for all of us in life, that we can't take the quick fix or what's right there, you know, a TV, which is a quick hit, sometimes working through that and getting the joy long term, but definitely for our kids, the more we can read, the better the outcomes will be.
I have got some books that I was going to tell you about, and maybe you might want to read yourself. So I've got them here. This one, so a little book recommendation, it's called This Is Not a Pity Memoir by Abby Morgan. It's the most incredible memoir, because she's an Emmy Award-winning writer for film and television. Her husband has a medical event and goes into a coma for more than a year. She's by his side. He does wake up, but he doesn't remember her. And she writes about it so beautifully, honestly. Oh, she's so honest, and it tears your heart out, but it also it's filled with so much joy. Sally Rooney's Intermezzo, have you read this? You probably have. Has it been on your list?
I've read Normal People.
Yeah, Normal People, Conversations with Friends, Beautiful World, Where Are You? I love Sally Rooney's writing, and I read this over summer, but I mean, once again, it's just that inner voice of all the characters, which she's so good at. So I think you'll probably like that one, but this one isn't out yet. Now, I'm actually going to be interviewing Ali Moore in the next couple of weeks, which we'll have coming up on the show, on 3 News and on Stuff. It's called No Words for This. It is, it's just an extraordinary book. I couldn't put it down. And it is about the dark secret that Ali and her family have carried for her whole life, and she's never spoken about it. This is actually just an uncorrected proof. It isn't actually out yet, but I read it as a manuscript with literally a bull clip holding together some pages, so if you want to have this one, it's all yours. I think you will enjoy it. And yeah, Ali Moore, obviously an amazing journalist and presenter and Kiwi in her own right.
Thank you so much. I have a little something for you and your children.
Oh my gosh, you got us presents.
I bought presents. I think
this has got the most beautiful paper.
I think that's from up in Matakana.
Can I open it?
Yeah, you can open it. I think a book is a gift you can open again and again.
Yes. And I love giving people books. You know, all my books are always out. My bookshelves are a mess because they're always, you know.
And so, yeah, this is. I know you like your these kind of books, so it's in similar. Well, it's a love story.
Broken Country, okay.
It's a love story, but it's also murder mystery.
I
Historical
love
fiction. And for me, you know, the Kristen Hannahs and the historical fictions are really, I really love.
Thank you so much.
But yeah, I hope you enjoy it, and a couple of kids' books
for the kids,
because I think that's always nice to read to your kids.
Oh, amazing. Hey, Gemma, it's been wonderful speaking to you today, and hopefully we can continue our conversation around books and continue that connection with women and anyone out there who is interested in reading.